listeners. Welcome back. It's a Parenting is a Joke snack. I'm Ophira Eisenberg, and I have with me comedian, new dad, not only of one, but one is on the way, and host of How to Be a Better Human podcast from TED. We were just talking actually about things he learned from his child on how to be a better human in the full episode. But I want to ask you this about talking to, I mean, you've had almost 300 episodes, I believe. So
Mhm.
you've talked to a lot of experts, Chris.
Totally.
And I'm just, okay, you talk to people about some big things too, just in terms of climate change.
Mhm.
You're talking sometimes about, politics. You're talking about a lot of things that I believe people right now who are on the fence about bringing kids into the world will cite as their reason to not have kids.
Yeah, I think well, first of all, totally reasonable, right?
Yeah, I agree.
If you don't wanna have kids and that's the reason, more power to you. But I think that often people aren't really being totally honest. Like, sometimes it's real, like, you're really concerned and you don't wanna have a kid because of that. And other times it's like, I do want a kid, and I feel bad that I want this because of that other thing. And
Yes.
what I would say to those people is like, it is so okay to want to have a kid, to want to start a family in the midst of times that are tough and bad and terrible. Because guess what? Times have always been tough
Always.
and bad and terrible in many ways. And that's not to diminish how bad and terrible things are right now, but the allowing for the possibility that things could get better and also allowing for the possibility that like love and family and care are extremely important, even in the midst of disaster and grief and suffering. I think to me, that's the point of life, right? Like the point is not, I'm not saying reproduction is the point of life, but like to
Yeah.
be of service and to care about others. And so if you want to have a family and you want to care about a kid, you should go for it. But also,
No.
I'm a comedian and a buffoon, so maybe you should talk to an evolutionary biologist or like a security expert.
Evolutionary biologists definitely want you to reproduce,
Oh,
may I
that's true,
just
yeah.
say. They would be all about, they're like, the species must endure.
Yeah, they
So
always say
there
it in
you
that
go.
tone too.
They always do, and it's always very foreboding. So, when we were talking about how you were at one point a elementary school teacher, which
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I look at my kids' elementary school teachers and I realize one thing about them all. They are young. They
Uh-huh.
are young.
It takes a lot of energy, that's for sure. It's although there's always at least one teacher in an elementary school who's been there forever and is just, like, tired and is, like, an amazing teacher, but is also like,
I'm
"Sit
over
down."
it.
I was like, "You don't throw paper airplanes in my class." The kids would be like, "Or what?" And somehow this teacher who's been teaching for like 40 years, they just go, "You don't throw paper airplanes." And no one ever says or what because they know like somehow you would be destroyed. Like you'd
They
be
would be scary.
vaporized by a stare. So there's always one.
How long were you teaching?
I taught for 3 years at that school and then I had kind of taught a little bit before in other places. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that is so you got a few classes in there,
Yeah.
and were you strict?
It was a pretty strict school, but that was always the part that I was the worst at. I was
Okay.
really good at like connecting with the kids, but I
Yeah.
was really bad at being like, here are the reasons for the rules. And a lot of that is because the worst thing you can do as a teacher or really any authority figure is someone does something against the rules and then you laugh. Like that is like instant permission and also encouragement. And it was so hard for me when they would do something that was like obviously funny to not laugh. Like I would try to turn around, but like here, I'll give you an example. It's like you're not supposed to pass notes in class, right?
Yeah,
Obviously. And there's
obviously.
lots of reasons for that, including like it can hurt other kids' feelings, not just because it's like me. And one time, a boy passed a girl a note that said, "Check here. Who do you have a crush on?" And he
Oh,
wrote
yeah.
like Jalen, Gary, Kevin. And then I found the note, and she had added a fourth box that said none of the above and checked it. And I was like, "That is hilarious. That's so good. That's a great bit." Or another time, the worst one, the one that I still feel bad about, but I loved is like so funny is I was teaching health class and they were allowed to ask anonymous questions. So they had like question cards. Very, very important for this story that like there was a very clear and established outlet for you to ask your questions. And this one kid raised his hand. So it was not an anonymous question. raised his hand in front of the whole class and just said to me, I got a question. Is it a problem if you've got big, and I'm talking huge balls? And I burst into laughing. I could not control myself because I was like, why did you say that in front of everyone? And also that actually quite possibly that is a medical condition. That
Yeah, that
depending on
is a
how big,
problem.
that could be something you need to have a doctor look at.
Was that kid snickering while he said it?
No,
Like,
he was so
no.
serious. That's what made it funny. He was just like, surely there's
Oh.
nothing to be embarrassed about here.
Okay, so this brings me to a great point. Like you are going to experience this, but I feel like you already have
Uh-huh.
great background, which, right around my kids' age and a little younger and a little older, they kind of download this world all day. And then usually they ask you kind of either hilarious or just really expansive, slightly inaccurate questions about the human experience,
Totally.
mortality, etc., as you're doing bedtime. Like you've had hours to talk
Mhm.
about stuff, but no, 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 no. And then right as you're doing bedtime, that's when it comes out.
Well,
And
that's
you're
why
like,
I
"Oh my
loved
god."
4th grade.
Yeah.
Like, that's why 4th graders were my favorite kids to interact with because they're old enough that you can have a real conversation, but they're young enough that they have no context for the world. So it's like you are interacting with like a very friendly extraterrestrial where like they'll come up to you and say like, are horses real? And you'll say horses are real. And then they'll say unicorns are not real. And you'll go, that's correct. Unicorns are not real. And then they'll just leave and go like, good to know, you know?
Yeah. My son asked his babysitter, didn't ask us. He said, "I just have to know, tell me the truth. Is Santa Claus real or not?"
Oh, that's
I know.
so
And he
sweet.
said to her, he goes, "I won't tell anyone."
Oh, I'll keep it a secret. The
Yeah.
conspiracy is safe with me.
But I was like a kid. I'm so surprised in a way that's still rolling around in his brain.
Yeah. Well, it's also funny to be like in a Jewish family and be like, Santa Claus is real.
I know. So I told him that he wasn't when he was like 4, and
Uh-huh.
he went, "No, mom, Santa is magic." And I went, "Oh,
Oh,
okay.
sorry. That's
Sorry,
right.
sorry."
That's right. Yeah. I have a lot of friends who are dealing with like the what do you say when someone asks you if it's real or not? And I think a lot of it is like you get to choose is kind of a good method, but it's gonna be so hard for me because I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, am I gonna say straight up like he is real? But then also or be like, he's not. I don't want to be. I think I'm gonna panic and be like, that's a mom question, and then like run out of the house.
Well, this is what the babysitter said if you wanna
Yeah,
co-opt it
would
and
love
make it
this.
your own. She said, "All I know is that when I get up on Christmas morning, there are stockings that are full and that there are presents for Santa, and I think I'm not gonna question it." And
Wow,
yeah,
what
I
a
know.
babysitter.
I know. That's great for Santa. I was like, "But don't tell my kid not to question things."
Yeah, 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 yeah. All I know is that if a person in a position of power tells me something, I say, yes, sir. How high, sir?
Exactly.
If Santa tells you to kill, you kill.
Exactly. So, but speaking of all this, I mean, there's so much written and about these categories of parenting styles. And I
Yeah,
feel like, when I was growing up, I don't think anyone had a name for the parenting style. It was just parenting.
yeah,
But now it's, all I think the helicopter parenting
yeah.
maybe was the first one to be given a title, and then we went forward and back.
Mhm.
What do you think of these? What do you think of the gentle parenting and the just
Man,
even the idea of following a style?
Ophira, the thing that resonates the most with me of all of these is my friend Max, who is not a parenting expert. I met him in college and we've known each other for years. And he has a daughter who's older than my kid. So,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, okay, what's this like? And he says this thing that I'm like, that captures it perfectly, which is he goes, all parenting is button mashing. You just try a bunch of things and you hope that something works. You're just smashing the keypad. So he's like, whether you think you're doing gentle parenting or you think you're a helicopter parent, fundamentally what you're doing is just mashing the keyboard and
Just
being like,
trying.
what is gonna unlock the thing, right? Like it doesn't work, so you mash it and try something else, and then that works, and then you go, well, that's obviously the thing that works, and that should work for everyone.
Yeah.
So
And then
I
that thing, by the way, works for 3 days and then
exactly, and
doesn't
then they're like,
work.
what are you talking about? You're gonna
Yeah.
hand me my food on a spoon? I'm gonna throw that against the wall. So I I think that's kind of my takeaway is that like it's such a hard thing. Parenting is such a hard thing to do that people want to exert control and to feel like they have like agency in whatever way they can. And so that often comes out as like, there's only one right way and I figured it out. And I think the reason why parenting is a joke and not just
Thank
this
you.
podcast
Thank you.
is because like we're so trained to laugh at ourselves and also to like think like maybe there are other ways of doing this. So I think that is like the fundamental actual way to do it is to go like, I have no idea how I got
I
here
have no
and I have
idea.
no idea how I'll get to tomorrow, but somehow we will be there.
Do you feel like you have people around you? I mean, you're talking to experts formally on a podcast that where you're kind of asking them for advice or that
Totally.
we're advising. But do you have people in your life that have approached you with unabashed and unsolicited parenting advice that you're like,
Oh,
come on?
definitely. Definitely. For sure. I
Are
mean,
these
this is like
family
unavoidable.
members or friends or both?
Well, I think family members certainly have opinions, and I think they've been, like, trained a little more explicitly that, like, we're gonna do it, and you're not necessarily supposed to share your opinion, so you can
Yeah.
just say, like, "Good job," or nothing.
Right,
Um,
right. Quiet
but I
down.
think it's more like strangers, right? Like like, I was, like, doing a thing at one of these interviews that I was doing for work, and the person was like, "You have a kid?" And I was like, "Yeah," and then they were like, "Home birth?" And went for a high five, and I was like, "No," and then they, like, pulled their high five back and were like, "Whatever you
No.
did was fine," you know? And I was
Oh, at
like,
least they said that.
yeah, but it's like, I obviously you have a clear preference of like what the right way to do things is. And I think that happens a lot where I've never had so many like social conversations that are kind of like minefields where you're trying to feel out what the other person does. And, like you go to the playground and the person is like, so nice to meet you. Obviously, you use reusable diapers. Oh, disposable diapers. Oh, obviously, you would never give your kid a packet. Oh, you're giving them a pouch right now. Like, you just are
Is that
constantly.
plastic? It's
Oh yeah,
wood,
for sure.
right? Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
you feed your child a slurry of microplastics every day. Oh, I actually like grow kale in my yard, and like it's just always. And I think like you can get past that, but certainly there's a lot of the feeling out where are we and which tribe is it? Because it's so much rarer to be like in a conversation with an adult and be like, I have no clue what your politics are. Right. Like
Right.
you generally have kind of a sense of like you're right wing or you're left wing,
Yeah,
both
or if
based on
you're
like where you are.
religious or any of these things, any of
Yeah.
these kind of larger hot buttons. Yeah.
But parenting is full of these like fault lines and there's not a lot of like clear visual cues. So a lot of times you just are like talking to someone and then you go like, you would what? You would do what with your child? You know?
Well, and to that, because we were saying in the main episode that you had pretty good luck with the kind of version of sleep training that you did, and
Yeah.
you have a kid that sleeps. And I found I had the same. Our sleep training was hard, but it was successful, and
Mhm.
I have a pretty good sleeper. And
Yeah.
let me tell you, Chris, I am quiet about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
am tight-lipped about it because I don't want to throw that on anyone that is suffering.
Yes, for sure. But it's so hard because you'll have a friend who's like, "I haven't slept in a year and a half." Like, they wake up 20 times in the
I
night, and
know.
then you're like, "Well, my kid sleeps through every night, and, like, it was 2 nights of doing this thing." And then but I will say, like, all kidding aside, one of the really big things that I have learned from, hosting a show that is called How to Be a Better Human is that so rarely are people ever looking for you to fix their problems. Most of the time, they're just looking for you to go, "That sucks. I am
Yeah.
sorry to hear that." Right? And so I try really hard with my friends who are parents now to be like, if they're telling me something, unless they're explicitly like, "How did you do that?" or "How would you do this?"
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm just like, that's brutal. I can't believe you chew all of the broccoli up and then spit it into your kid's mouth, and that's how you feed them. That sounds so hard. I'm not like, did you know there are alternative ways of feeding them that don't involve baby birding? Like, I'm just like, if you're attached to baby birding, I'm just gonna say, wow, baby birding sounds hard. I feel you.
Yeah. Well, just to be clear, if I ever come to you with a problem, I am looking for a solution.
Okay, good to know. You are always desperate for an actual practical
Yeah. If
solution.
someone goes, "Hey, that's brutal," I would be like, "Are you fucking kidding me? That's all you have to say?"
Yeah, yeah. And then I'd be like,
Anyways.
oh, well, you should read this book. Here's a book. I bring it out right now.
Yeah, don't give me a book.
Yeah.
Okay, are you hoping that your kid does is there anything you're like, "Oh my god, I hope he doesn't like," I don't
Mm.
know. We always talk about that. It's so funny. We're always like, "He can't play football." I mean, we're
Oh,
both not very sports minded. We
yeah.
didn't grow up playing neither my husband and I grew up playing team sports.
Yeah.
So we do our own thing, but we're always like, "Football, no." And
Yep.
we kind of imagine that's exactly what he'll want to do.
Oh, of course, yes, certainly. Yeah, well, I'll tell you, as soon as we found out we were having a boy, I said to my wife, Molly, I said, I just want to be really clear with you that if he's into sports, that's fine. I'm not going to not support that, but I will never have a mitt and throw a ball around in the yard. That's not, I refuse to do that. So that's a you thing. So you better buy yourself a mitt right now because there's never going to be a mitt that fits my hand that is used. I just want to be real clear. Like that's a you job
I love
and
you
I'll do the
so
other
much.
stuff. So that's one. Then the other one though is like, I live in Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
so it is a real
Oh.
concern that my child would be like some sort of influencer brand. And I want to be very clear, like, you cannot be cool. You need to be like a little weird nerd. You can be like any kind of weirdo. You could be super into trains, or you could be super into baseball statistics, or you could be really into like gardening or makeup. I don't care what it is, but I can't see you. Like, I will not allow my child to be like a little hype beast who's like, oh, I'm into like the latest drop of like Japanese streetwear. Like, you can do that when you're 16, but you're not going to be a 7-year-old who knows the different like levels of high fashion. I can't allow that. And
What
watch,
if he
because I say
wants
this, he's going to listen back to this and be like, wow, Dad, I am getting, I don't even know literally, I don't even know the name of a brand to drop, but I'm getting like, high end. Yeah. I'm getting Toshiba sneakers. I'm sure that's not a brand.
That's not a brand, but I like it that, yeah, I mean, also, we were all like, "Oh, we're gonna limit the video games," and of
Mm,
course, what does my son say he wants to be? He's even figured this out, smart
yeah.
kid. He was like, people are always like, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And he says, "I wanna be a beta tester for video games," which
Wow.
is just he's figured out, like, what's the job in the video game world where you play games?
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Listen, I think that I'm fine with that. There's plenty of things that I would prefer, but when I quit teaching to be a comedian, I told my dad. My dad is the first person in his family to go to college. He paid his way through
Oh
college
my god.
working in an auto factory, and then he worked for 30 years for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. And I told my dad, I'm quitting the stable job that is like very clear career path, always in demand. I'm quitting that to try and become a comedian. And he said, you are continuing the grand Duffy tradition of your father not being able to give you any practical advice whatsoever about your life. And so I am
I
certain
love him. He's hilarious.
he's great. And he was so supportive, but he was just like, just so you know, I will never
Just
be able to give you a tip. And I guarantee you that my son will do something similar, where he'll probably be like, I do a job that involves math. And I'll be like, I am not confident in my ability to divide. Adding and subtraction, yes, but beyond that, it's not me.
You know what? I'm really good at this is not a math flex at all. But I'm pretty good at
Now,
math. But
please math
I
flex.
could always if you're at a restaurant, like figure out the tip. 20%? Are you kidding me? Someone but I have many friends who cannot do it. Like,
Oh,
how can you not do that?
yeah,
I
I
don't
can
get
do
it.
the 20%, but there are a lot of times where I'm like, okay, just to be clear, I should be paying this person $20, not $2,000.
Right?
I just want to be clear. That's what the comma means. Okay, good, good, good.
Good. I know from something you wrote that you had a quest for a while to raise your Uber rating. That
Oh, yeah.
really
I got on Lyft, I'm back to 5 stars. Thank God. Thank
wow.
God. They must drop your lowest rating because, once you get below 5, you're never going to go back, but they must eventually drop some low ratings. Yeah.
Okay, so have you brought your kid into an Uber or Lyft, and has that impacted your rating?
This is such a sad answer. This actually says so much about me and brokenness of my body and mind is that I literally have not, because I'm concerned that
No.
he would cry and then that would lower my rating. So it's like, if we are going to the airport, I'm like, hey, Molly, why don't you call the Lyft or if we're going somewhere, I'm like, that better my phone's not here. Can you call it? Because I kind of am in like a streak, and I think that like a crying baby might interrupt my streak.
Just so you know, Chris, mine is 4.86.
I'm so
That
sorry
should
to hear that.
horrify you.
Yeah, that's
But
terrifying.
I was in labor in an Uber. I mean,
Oh,
I ended up having the child at hospital. It was a long time after that. But I think that did affect my rating
oh, they should
substantially.
you should be able to I do really strongly believe that you should be able to contest your ratings. I think you should be able to say, I was
To
in
get your
labor,
side of it?
and then they give you like a bonus. I think they should give you like extra credit. You can like write an essay. Like, this is how I got through high school and college. Is I'm like, sure, that test score was low. What if I did an extra credit essay? I think you
You
should be able
know
to do the same thing for your
You know
Uber
what
and
I
Lyft
think? I
ratings.
think Uber should just go from the point of view of this is a money-making opportunity. They offer, Uber XL. They offer
Uh-huh.
they should offer Uber labor
Uh-huh.
And it is just 5 times the price of everything else. No one's gonna say no.
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna say no. In New York, everyone needs that.
I believe that they actually do offer such a thing, and it's a special line that you call as well. It's 911, and they will deliver you a special vehicle that you're allowed to give birth in.
That is 5 times more than
It's
an
very
Uber.
expensive, but it does exist and will come to you.
That's awesome. Chris, you're a delight. I love talking to you. Everyone,
Same here.
talk to Chris through listening to him. He has a podcast, How to Be a Better Human. It's a podcast from TED. You can hear these great, refreshing conversations with scientists and artists and all kinds of experts that help you find unexpected ways that you can live a more meaningful life. So you can find How to Be a Better Human wherever you get your podcast. See him live. You are still doing your live show every month, I
That's right.
understand.
Yes, we're
You're
interviewing a scientist. 3 comedians try and guess what a scientist does all day. And this month in June, I don't know if it's going to come out in time, but this month in June is an ice cream scientist. And after that, we're doing many other amazing scientists.
Oh, you see, you are the coolest dad immediately. You know an ice cream scientist?
That's right. Free ice cream.
You can also follow Chris on Instagram and TikTok at Chris Duffy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. What a great little snack.